Jack and Mac on a football Friday. We've only got a couple summer football Fridays left before the Eagles open up camp. Then it'll be an actual football Friday. Lucky enough to get Ed Kracz to join us on a football Friday. We don't usually have Kracz on Fridays, do we, John? This is like a special Ed Kracz appearance, is it not?
We get him during the season on Fridays a lot, but yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought we'd have Ed on earlier in the week.
A lot of football Fridays.
Football
right?
Fridays, all right.
Everything runs together. I don't know. I don't know, Jody.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. All right, here's what I just made up last segment, Ed. If you didn't catch it, John thinks I'm like whistling in the wind, and I probably am. This upcoming season, with Rashad Penny being the back that he is, tremendously talented, stats off the charts, yards per carry, everything else, but also a history of injury that he misses games every single year. This year, the Eagles use him, but take him off the roster on certain weeks for load management. That they deactivate him on given weeks, even if he played well the week before, because if you use him, if you overuse him, the injury's going to happen. So why don't we manage it by just not even dressing him for a game, that they have enough depth in that backfield that they can give Rashad Penny weeks off at a time via load management. Any chance the cutting edge, ahead of the curve Philadelphia Eagles go down the road, that road this year?
Yeah, listen, Nick Sirianni likes to ride the hot hand. He said that before. And what are you saving Penny for if you have all this depth? I mean, he's only here on a 1-year deal. You may as well run him into the ground if you can. I mean,
yeah,
you're going the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Until he's hurt.
Baby. Common sense. Run him until you can't run him.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
It's a big year for him. Obviously, given the state of the running backs in the NFL and how they, all the talk of them being undervalued, and they are. Penny has to come out firing, and he has to keep firing until, the end of the season if he wants to keep playing in this league. So I think he would resist wanting to sit down, especially if he's rolling. I say you just keep rolling with him week to week, each week.
Yeah, plus knowing Nick Sirianni, the further I think about it, we were discussing this, Ed, and Jody's load management theory. Nobody did it in the NBA till Greg Popovich. There's always got to be a first. But to me, it's not going to be Nick Sirianni, because if you think about it, well, if you say, let's say Rashad Penny is the starting running back and plays well against New England and plays well against Minnesota, and then you say, oh, Tampa Bay stinks, and you're going to sit him down. Boy, that's just not Nick Sirianni's mindset. I mean,
John, let me ask you a question. Is Nick Sirianni's mindset less work in preseason is good?
Well, I think that's an organizational mindset. I think
then maybe the organizational decision is that they use a running back by committee and give some guys some load management.
We talk about a lot, and it happened with Doug Peterson, and I think it was Ben Solak was on the show and brought up that, hey, coaches in Philadelphia don't have as much power as they do in certain other cities. And I said, you know what? Ben's right. If they did that to Nick Sirianni, I think that's the first sign of, hey, there's going to be some issues. I do not think he would accept that. If Rashad Penny, remember the situation, and it's all hypothetical. He's playing well. And then he's going to told, oh, you got to sit Rashad Penny down for load management. I do not think that would go over well. Ed?
I agree. And listen, I think the Eagles' load management philosophy comes during the week leading up to a game. Is they'll rest players and not let them practice. I can't remember any time where they sat a player on game day just to kind of manage his load. And again, what are you saving Rashad Penny for? He's here for 1 year. I doubt he comes back next year, no matter what kind of year he has. I don't think he's coming back. So,
well, if he plays well, he's not coming back, and if he plays poorly,
he's not coming back.
So I'm with you.
So C, all of the above. He's not coming back.
I'll play Howie Roseman for you. What am I saving him for? January. That's what you're saving him for. That if he's rushing for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns in a late September, early October game, that's a really good thing. Eagles want to win games in January and February, and that's what you're saving Rashad Penny for.
Yeah, again, you go to the depth of this team, and Kenny Gainwell. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Kenny Gainwell's expecting a bigger role this year. He came out and told us that when we talked to these guys back in May and June, that he's expecting a bigger role. And then you have Boston Scott and Trey Sermon. I'll tell you this: I don't think we're going to see a lot of Rashad Penny in these 3 preseason August games, or DeAndre Swift. We're going to see a lot of Trey Sermon. Probably some Kenny Gainwell and maybe some Boston Scott. And they also have that Kennedy Brooks, right? The undrafted free agent runner from Oklahoma. I mean, we'll see a lot of him in August.
Oh, yeah. We're going to see a lot of Kennedy Brooks in the preseason games.
That's where they're going to manage their load, so to speak, with Penny and Swift. They're not going to play a lot in August.
And, oh, by the way, and I'm not accusing either of you two guys doing it, but others, maybe John once in a while, but not that often. Kenny Gainwell had that great playoff run. No, Kenny Gainwell had that great playoff game against the Giants. He didn't do all that much against the 49ers, and he may have had more carries than Miles Sanders in the Super Bowl. 7 rushes for 21 yards. Nothing special. Kenny Gainwell didn't have a great playoff run. He had a great playoff game against the Giants, but people lump it in as if Kenny Gainwell took the running back spot away from Miles Sanders. No, he had 1 big game and then 2 mediocre games thereafter.
Yeah, I just think it was the confidence level that Nick Sirianni, as the season went on, they showed more confidence in Kenny Gainwell. I mean, I think that's it, more than the fact that he had a great.
Well, I think it's Miles got banged up. I mean, Miles was banged up. He had the knee injury.
Right.
The incident that I won't bring up. He had the knee injury. And then he got hurt in the first play of the Super Bowl with the hand. I think it had more to do with Miles getting injured. But the Eagles were very happy with Kenny Gainwell. That's my point. They were very happy with the way he played down the stretch of the season. Remember, he had a bad year. They kind of disappointing regular season. And all of a sudden, he showed a little bit of juice late, and the team was very happy with the way he played when Miles got banged up, and it kind of worked out for him a little bit. It's going to be interesting to me. It's Kenny Gainwell versus DeAndre Swift, right? Because they're very similar players. They're both very good receivers. Kenny's a better inside runner than people give him credit for. He's been very good in the red zone. Who's going to be the third down back? Because Swift is a very good receiver. And I go back to Penny, to button up Penny, and this is what I've been trying to get across. Evidently, I'm not explaining it well to the listeners. If Rashad Penny's not the lead back, and by lead back, I'm saying Miles Sanders. So think about Miles Sanders last year. If he's not that guy, should he even be here? Because, then you start talking about what you said, Ed. He's only here for 1 year anyway. You only guaranteed him $600,000. Nick Sirianni keeps bringing up Trey Sermon. I don't know if it's real or not, but he keeps bringing him up unprompted. Boston Scott, they have confidence in. If he's not the lead back, why is he even here?
Insurance, I guess. But you're right. If you're looking at, reducing the roster at the running back position, you're not going to cut Kenny Gainwell because he's that definition of cheap labor that Howie Roseman likes to talk about. He's signed through next year.
Yeah.
You have 2 years left with him. Same with Trey Sermon. You have 2 years left on his rookie contract. So you're looking at your 1 year guys, DeAndre Swift. They're not going to cut him because they traded for him. They gave up a 4th round pick. And I think he's going to be the lead back. And I think they're going to mix Penny in, occasionally. But if you're looking for guys to cut, Penny could certainly be, on that block because of, like you said, the 1-year deal. You're only guaranteeing him $600,000. You know, maybe he doesn't make this team, but I would be surprised. You know, Boston Scott, the team loves him. He's the guy that was taking the first team reps in the spring, right?
Yeah.
But again, he's a 1-year deal type of player. Can catch the football like Swift and like Gainwell can. I mean, he might be the extra part that, you know, maybe they part ways with him, but I don't think you're going to keep 4 running backs or 5 running backs on the
Well, you're
roster.
definitely not keeping 5.
No,
I
so
think they keep 4. But I guess my whole point is if Rashad Penny's not 1,
yeah,
I don't necessarily know he's got a role because he's not going to help as a receiver. He's not going to help on special teams. Now, maybe you're right about the insurance part because DeAndre Swift, if he's the lead back, I think people kind of forget he's had injury problems as well. He's never played more than 13 games. He's never run for more than 617 yards. So maybe insurance, but he's not playing special teams. He's not playing as a third down back. So to me, it's either he's part of the equation, or if he's not, then he's out the door.
yeah. And he's a fun guy to watch. If you look at some of his highlights going through the years, I mean, he's a bowling ball. He's a load coming through the middle of a defense. So again, you're right. I mean, what would his role be? Would he be happy with a kind of a reduced role, maybe playing 10 to 12 snaps a game, if that? You know, the way the running back position is, I think you'd be happy with that. If you're Rashad Penny, you want to make this team and you contribute whenever your number's called, and that's that. Because if you have to test the market in August, you know, it's going to be awfully hard to find another team unless there's an injury that crops up through the course of, you know, training camps or early in the season. But, you know, if you're Rashad Penny, you know, you'll take whatever role's handed to you. And you're right. The question is, will he have a role, and what will that role look like?
Ed, we've been talking about the running backs, talking about how's it going to be decided, who's going to make the coaching staff, the organization. Do you actually attempt to judge what the guys can do in preseason when preseason isn't what preseason used to be? And if that's the case, how are they going to judge who should be the starting right guard on this team this year? There isn't going to be a ton of film work. He's doing great in moving his feet on a drill on the sideline. Is that, or just do you trust Stoutland? The Stoutland University knows that they can judge by the guy standing there and be able to look at them and go, there's our best right guard. How are they going to judge who gets the nod at right guard for the Eagles this year?
Well, I mean, it is going to be a battle, and they'll have the eye in the sky. They'll be taping every rep at practice, and you know, we may not see that battle during the preseason. You know, in the games, I mean, but we'll see. I mean, the Eagles are hosting 2 joint practices, right? I think the Browns come here, and
Browns and Colts. Jim Schwartz and Shane Steichen. Ed Kracz.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll see a lot of that battle in those practices, I'm sure. And, you know, maybe we'll start to get a good idea of how that battle's going once the preseason games do hit, once the actual games happen, because then we'll see who's going to be out there more reps than the other guy. But they have their ways of judging and, you know, evaluating offensive line play led by Stoutland. You know, Stoutland's opinion carries a lot of weight. So, you know, that'll be a decision probably offered by Stoutland, and Sirianni and company will have to agree on it, and we'll go from there. But I think Cam Jurgens right now is going to get most of those reps. I'm not sure they want to turn this job over to a rookie, you know, in a year when they really have Super Bowl aspirations.
But John made this point, and I got to give him credit for it. I had not thought along the lines. I said, oh, shoot, he's exactly right. Do you judge who's going to be the starting right guard more by Jason Kelce than anything else? If he's going to be given downtime in preseason, because he always does. They take care of their veterans. They don't play. Well, then who's getting the number 1 center reps? If it's not going to be Kelce, if they're going to give him downtime and Jurgens is the guy who's jumping in there, Well, doesn't that tell you that they want Jerkins to be the backup center more than they want him to be the starting right guard, and that they really believe that Steen's going to be able to jump in and take that job? How much does Jason Kelsey's status on the sideline depict who's going to be the starting right guard?
Yeah, they're going to have to find somebody because Kelsey takes the day off every week during practice, right? He takes that one practice day off, Veterans Day off. And who's going to take the center reps? Is it going to be Cameron Tom or Cam Jurgens? If you commit to Jurgens being your right guard, then you're going to have to find somebody else. I don't think you would move him back to center during the week to interrupt what he's trying to learn at right guard to get ready for a game. It's an interesting question. And I know the Eagles want to get something out of Cam Jurgens. I mean, they spent a second-round pick on him last year. You're signed for 4 years. This is year 2. I would think they'd want to start seeing some return in year 2 on that investment. And if they have to wait till year 3, then, all of a sudden you only have 2 years with Cam Jurgens before you have to give him another contract if he plays well. So I really think that they'll manage that center position with reps if it's Jurgens at right guard. I don't think Jurgens will flip back to center, maybe for an occasional rep here and there just to keep sharp at that position. But I think you have to commit to Jurgens being your right guard, and you have to keep him there. And you find someone else like a Cameron Tom or, whoever else can snap the ball at center. I'm not sure.
Brett Toth, baby. Brett Toth.
Brett Toth. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done it, has he? I mean, he's kind of
he got hurt playing center in week 18. They moved him to center when he tore his ACL. So
it could be Toth. Yeah, I mean, he could be your backup center then. Because
to me,
it's not fair to Jurgens as a second-year guy to make him go back and forth.
Well, that's why of the 100 minutes we got in the spring, that was the most interesting thing I saw, because in the second practice, and again, it's only individual drills because they only do 7-on-7s. But in the second practice, Kelsey took it off, and Cam Jurgens was taking reps at center, and I thought that was interesting, but I don't know why. Because to me, it could signal two things. They're so confident in Cam Jurgens, they don't care. And they're going to toggle him back and forth. And every time Kelsey gets a day off at training camp, he's going to be center. And they're going to try to get Tyler Steen some reps at right guard. Or they really, really, really want to look at Tyler Steen at right guard. It could be either one. But I agree with you, Ed. You're either so concrete on Cam Jurgens, or you don't believe in Cam Jurgens at right guard. And I think it's I said Penny, it's also one of the most interesting storylines, because you're right. When it hits the regular season, if Cam Jurgens is the right guard, there's no moving back and forth during the week when you're preparing for teams. He's got to be the right guard, and you got to find a backup center. I think, and this is only a think, and I want to make this clear to the listeners, this is my opinion. I really think they hope Tyler Steen can play as a rookie. I really hope. I really think they hope that, because Cam Jurgens is going to be a good center. I don't know. He'll probably be competent right guard. Why not wait another year? Who cares? Who cares? I think there's too much emphasis on he's got to be on the field because he was a second-round pick.
Yeah, I just think it's a value thing. I mean, you're losing value after taking him in the second round and not getting him on the field. But it is interesting that when you talk to the players, and I was at the Jason Kelsey bartending thing and talked a little bit to Jason, just individually. And whenever they talk about that right guard, it's like whoever it's going to be. It's not like they're saying, Cam or Tyler. I mean, they don't even know. They're saying, whoever
Jack Driscoll. Throw Jack Driscoll in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, Driscoll, sure. I think Driscoll's probably your reserve tackle. Given the depth at that position, that's a whole nother issue. Is who's your swing tackle? A role that Dillard kind of filled last couple years. So that's a whole nother issue. Hoosier Swing, I think it's Driscoll, so I'm not sure he's even in the mix. But yeah, it's going to be tough for a rookie to come in there. I mean, he really has to stand out day one and keep getting better as camp goes on for him to win that job, in my opinion, because I'm not sure you want a rookie out there, even though you're playing between Kelsey and Johnson, two of the all-time greats in this game. It's a big ask for a rookie to step in and perform at such a high level that's going to get this team where it wants to go.
Ed Kracz, while you were down in Sea Isle when they had the big gathering for Eagles Autism, did you perhaps see Quez Watkins? Did he get down there to prove that he could stretch the beach the same way he stretched the field for the Eagles this year? Was he one of the attending it? Because they had a bunch of guys that showed up down there. I think Quez is going to be another one of the interesting stories this year. Shame on me. I should have known this. I just found it out yesterday. He got almost triple his salary from what it was supposed to be because of the performance bonus that he got as per the collective bargaining agreement. I thought there was a chance that they might even move off Quez. Now I don't believe that's the case. So if he's going to be here, he's going to be playing. The coach likes him a lot. He's given a verbal backing this offseason. What kind of year is Quez Watkins going to have?
Yeah, he wasn't in Sea Isle stretching the beach, Jody.
He should have been there. He's got to prove that he can stretch that beach.
Maybe he was, working out somewhere else, getting ready.
He was in Ocean City while everybody else was in Sea Isle. How did I not know that?
Yeah, I don't know where Quez was that day, but
probably Texas would be my guess.
Working out somewhere with Exos or whoever. But yeah. Obviously a pivotal year for him, and he is going to be on this team, and he's going to be in that mix to be the third receiver with the great and wonderful Oz. Olamide Zacchaeus.
I love when I get the opportunity. Olamide Zacchaeus. Yeah.
So yeah, he's going to have a pivotal role. I don't know what kind of year he's going to have. There's just not a lot of traffic. I mean, he was targeted 50 times last year, which is a pretty decent amount of traffic for a number 3 receiver when you're talking about Smith and Brown on the outside, and Goddard as a tight end. But, he's going to have to take advantage of every opportunity that comes his way. He's going to have to learn to fight for the ball, be more physical as a receiver. And we'll see where that lands him, because this is a pivotal year and he's going to be on the team and they're thin at receiver. Yeah. So he's going to be one of those guys that, to me, isn't going anywhere, and we're going to see a lot of him in August. I think we're going to see the Eagles throw him the ball, Jalen Hurts get him the ball as often as he can, and we'll see him in the preseason games, and we'll see what kind of year he has. But he wasn't at the Shore doing any celebrity bartending with Kelsey. There were a lot of other guys there. Goddard was there, and Fletcher Cox was there.
Lando becoming a star.
Lando Dickerson was down there, and Brandon Graham, and even Trent Cole showed up, which was kind of
surprising. Jordan there? Because Jordan had to go out to Hawaii.
He was probably getting ready for the big wedding, the nuptials. Yeah. So he was not there. He was there in year 2. But Barwin and Trent Cole were there. Surprising. I mean, I know Barwin works in the organization, but Trent Cole took a day off, I guess, from hunting, wildlife.
Yeah, he doesn't
out in Indiana.
Now, remind me, Jody, we got to get to our top 25, si.com/NFL/Eagles. But before that, I want to get to you. First of all, I see it all the time. Filet Ringo's going to sign before training camp. Please don't worry about that, fans. Please do not worry about that. He will be signed before training camp. But are the Eagles going to bring in anybody else before camp? Give me percentage-wise. Could be a linebacker, could be a receiver. Anybody else before training camp? Do we see a little bit of tweak to this roster by Howie Roseman?
Well, I've said like Dalton Reisner, the former Broncos free agent playing guard. This guy's made
interesting.
You think it's going to be a guard if they bring in one?
Well, they love the trenches, Jody.
They do. I know.
The guy's got 62 starts as a guard in the NFL. I mean, Steen has 0, obviously. Juergens has 0, obviously. So to me, where's the harm in bringing in kind of like a guy like Reisner who can bring some of that experience? And if he doesn't make the team, fine. To be honest, I'm little surprised they haven't signed him already. But to me, he would probably be at the top of my list of guys that they could bring in at some point between now and training camp starts, or shortly after training camp begins,
Very
once they get a line on Juergens and Steen.
Interesting name from Eddie Kracz. I can't believe it wouldn't be a linebacker, but you could be right, AK. All right, yeah, as John mentioned, I've been running down the guys that you and John put together, your top 25 list, each of you getting equal voting and doing the math and coming up with the guys as to where they rank. We didn't do it yesterday and or today. Jordan Mailata at number 10, Darius Slay at number 9. And I put together my own list because you guys did it. I felt I should put in the same amount of work. I have Jordan Mailata even higher on my list. I have him at number 8. I had Slay further down at number 10. You guys had Bradbury at 12. I got Bradbury. He's not on my list yet, which means he's in the top 8. Why Slay over Bradbury? Eddie, you first.
Slay over Bradbury. I just think, the experience that Slay has. I know Bradbury has a lot of experience, but I just think Slay is probably, to me, a better defender, in the pass game. I just feel that he is. I mean, Bradbury is a good player, but I don't think he's quite as good as Slay. And we're only talking about what, 3 different, difference of 3 in the rankings.
Right. Yeah. Close.
Yeah. But I just give Slay a little bit of an edge. I just think he's a little bit better of a shutdown corner. Now, that said, he's 32 years old, and, Bradbury's 30, or he will be 30 in August, I think. But,
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I'm a little concerned about Slay, to be honest, but, based on what he's accomplished these past few years, I just think he's a little bit better than Bradbury.
Yeah, I would say 2 words, Justin Jefferson. When the Eagles do need to lock somebody down, they still default to Slay. So they're telling you what they think of the player. And I get it. He's 32, and he had the great first half and kind of slipped a bit in the second half. So people are concerned about the age, but, 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback, lockdown corner. Bradbury's great zone corner, but there's a difference. And, when I was talking to AJ Brown,
what do you think the percentage is of man-to-man and zone the Eagles are going to play this year in secondary?
far more zone, as they did. But when they need the man, and they play a lot of matchup zone, which is sort of man-like. When they do play man, and again, Justin Jefferson, they give it to Slay because he's better at it. And he's one of the best. He's been one of the best in the NFL for years, and that's why I still rate him above. James had a great season, phenomenal season, and this is a perfect defense for James Bradbury. So for everybody who doesn't like this scheme, I mean, it fits certain players perfectly, and James would be at the top of that list. They're both really good players. It's a great problem to have, but again, if you have Justin Jefferson out there, they're going to give him the Slay.
But even with the unbelievable game against Justin Jefferson, PFF had Bradbury ranked higher than Slay last year, if I'm not mistaken. Johnny Mac?
No, Slay was still higher. Slay was I'll look it up real quick.
I like the depth they have behind those 2 guys too this year. I mean,
they got a lot of cornerbacks in camp.
Yeah, they have better, and that enabled them to move Zach McPherson to the slot.
Yeah, I like Greedy Williams. I think if he can, another guy that's injury prone, but I like Greedy Williams, and I like Keely Ringo as a rookie. He just turned 21, Keely Ringo, which is amazing to me. But I like him too. So I like those 2 players behind Slay and Bradbury.
Slay was 21. Bradbury was 27.
Okay, so Slay slightly ahead. Yeah, I'm projecting Bradbury a little bit better this year, mainly because, as you pointed out, John, The second half, you saw a drop off. Now, hey, maybe Slate turns it around. First half is the same as the second half this upcoming year. Back to being big play Slate for an entire 16-game season. I don't like it when a 32-year-old guy has a lesser second half than the first half. That's why I had to put Bradbury ahead of Slate, but that's just me. All right, so you guys got your top 8. We'll keep an eye on it in Sports Illustrated.
By the way, just as a little foreshadow, I think SI, the higher powers, I think they missed July 4th. So I'm not sure where we are. I don't think number 8's out there yet, so I won't say it.
It will be out this afternoon. I'm in charge of doing that one, and that'll be out this afternoon.
And then number 7 I'll be doing, and that is the first one where Jody Mack broke the tie between number 6 and number 7, because Ed and I were completely deadlocked. He had one player at 6, I had him at 7, and vice versa. So we had to go to Jody Mack to break the tie. You know, it's interesting. From number 12, which was Bradbury, number 11, which was Landon Dickerson, number 10, which was Mailata, number 9, which was Slay, and number 8 coming up, Ed and I had them exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
which is pretty amazing.
No tiebreaker needed, but number 7 was an offensive player or defensive player?
Number 7.
Offensive. It's going to be an offensive player.
Right. Number 8, I'll tease number 8, defensive player. He was number 10 on our list last year. He's moved up 2 spots.
Very nice. That's rising quickly. Eddie, we'll let you go. Have a great rest of your afternoon. You know, we're going to be getting you on before the season gets underway. As soon as the Eagles open up camp, you'll be back with us. Thanks much for doing it today.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed Kracz from SI.com, John's running mate at Sports Illustrated. All right, McMullen and McDonald coming back. You know what we need to do. Put a bow on the show for today's Birds 365.